Bengals offensive tackle Jonah Williams officially requested a trade last week, and it seems like the Bengals are at least open to trading him. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and remember, we are a one-stop shop for all things Bengals right here on YouTube. And let's dive into this because there's a lot of layers since we last talked about the Jonah Williams conversation. And Ian Rapoport on Wednesday morning of NFL Network reporting, and I'll read the tweet for you directly. He said, the Bengals have had conversations centered around left tackle Jonah Williams, sources say. As the interest heats up in the player who has 47 career starts, Williams requested a trade following the signing of Orlando Brown, and since he has heard from several possible suitors. So first off, this is clearly coming from Jonah Williams' agent. Why? Well, his agent's job is to get him moved. Jonah's unhappy. You try to get him moved and get him to a team where he can show he can be a left tackle and a franchise left tackle in this league. That's not happening in Cincinnati because they have Orlando Brown Jr., hence the trade request. That said, I think there's a lot of layers here. And all week long, and it's only Wednesday, and maybe Foster Moreau signs with the Saints later this morning or as we're recording this or by the time you see this. But Foster Moreau's still out there. The Bengals haven't made a move in the running back market. They haven't added really anyone, Max Sharping on Monday, but outside of that, they haven't added anyone since Nick Scott last Friday night on St. Patrick's Day while you were drinking green beer, and well, I was too. And so is this the domino that the Bengals are waiting to drop for all these other moves to happen? For them to maybe sign a tight end, for them to maybe make a decision on Joe Mixon, on whether or not they want to try to approach him about a pay cut or just move on? Is this the domino? Because it might be. It might be they're uncomfortable with where they're at cap-wise because they want to really throw the money at Burrow or throw the money at T. Higgins. And so they want to free up more cap space if they're going to, make a move for Moreau or make a move for a veteran running back or make a move for insert player that you've mentioned. I know some have said Dalton Risner at guard, which I think is sort of unrealistic. But regardless, is that what's holding this up? I mean, $12.6 million in cap room in 2023, if you move Jonah, that's a big domino that if that falls, it clears space and it allows you to maybe negotiate with Mixon and not pull the trigger on that as quickly. That said, I look at this, and even though all of these dominoes could be holding up, maybe they have a deal in place, like with Foster Moreau, maybe they have a deal in place with him, a multi-year deal. Maybe it's a one-year deal, or a multi-year deal where it's like, okay, we're going to do this. Give us a couple days here to move things around a bit and see, are we clearing the space we want with Mixon or are we clearing the space we want with a Jonah trade? And I'm purely speculating. But stuff like that happens all the time in the NFL, happens all the time in the NBA and professional sports. When you're trying to figure out, all right, how are we going to make this work? In the NBA, they don't have a cap, but they have a luxury tax. And so teams have to do that. Well, in the NFL, there's a salary cap. And so maybe that's the route they're going. Not that they would be up against it. And, things do get tight if you talk about extending Burrow and giving him some money up front that's going to impact the 2023 cap, the draft picks, all of those things. It could get tight pretty quickly. So maybe this is their way of holding things off. Or maybe this is Jonah Williams' agent saying, hey, yeah, there's interest in my client and trying to drum things up. The true deadline for a trade, to me, there isn't one, of course, until the trade deadline, literally. But it's the draft. If you're the Bengals and you go into the draft and you get a tackle in round one at 28 overall, well, then it makes it much easier to move on from Jonah Williams. Right now, if you move on from him, you're opening up a hole in your starting lineup. But maybe you're willing to do that if the price is right, pick-wise. A team is willing to absorb that $12.6 million because it's holding up other moves that you want to make. I'm just speculating here. Who knows? The other part of it is, like I said, the agent might just be pushing, and I get it, understand it. And we'll see there. We'll see if that happens because you could turn that $12.6 million. I've said it about Joe Mixon. You certainly could turn that $12.6 million into Foster Moreau. You could turn it into Cam Fleming, a nice swing tackle, if you want a veteran there to give you some more flexibility on the offensive line. You could turn that into Ezekiel Elliott, if you wanted to, on a couple $1 million deal, who, by the way, would be a good fit in that Samaje Perine role if the Bengals don't address running back in the coming days, then maybe I'll do a video on that. But there are a lot of options if the Bengals clear $12.6 million in cap space. So we'll see if they do it. We will have you covered regardless, whether it's they trade him, they don't trade him, they sign Foster Moreau, they don't sign him, they go after another tight end or running back or whatever it is. This is a one-stop shop for all things Bengals. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.